Hey guys, Adam Perry here with TrueDFS, and I'm going to go over today's, is it 5-game? I think 5-game NHL DFS slate. Don't forget it starts a half hour later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 games. Starts a half hour later. It's kind of mostly late-ish and late games, so doing probably a lot of waiting around to the late night hammer, whether you're doing well and you're anti-sweating if you have the early game or if you're not. But we will check out projections. We'll look a little bit at news that's going to matter on the slate. We'll do what we always do, which is build like a hand build lineup, which has just helped us like sort of put those news questions to practice and help us like use the news such that we could make different lineups based on what might happen or might not, or what the industry has in there and not. And then we'll use SaberSim, right? And we're going to use SaberSim to build for my contest, which is the 333. And we'll take any questions and then we'll jump out of here. So looking at the news, today, not much stands out except for Point and Kucherov being back. Now the industry is projecting that, but the industry is not all getting the Bolts power play right. And why this matters is they're the highest projected team on the slate. So Bjorkstrand's going to be back in the power play. It's going to be the power play that they ran earlier before these guys were out. And so it's like, if you look at DFO, they have it wrong too. So this is why I think the power play itself is probably going to be a little low owned. We'll find out. Maybe it'll be less low owned now that I put this out here, but I don't know how many people watch. But you've got Gunsel, Point, Cooch, Hagel, DS Stu. Well, that was yesterday or last game. I don't know that it's going to be the same today. So SaberSim is currently projecting them the same. DFO is projecting them the same, but it might be a little different. So you don't want to check that out and keep an eye out for it. If we look at projections, Cooch really stands out as being the top, not point per dollar, but Sheets value score metric. He really stands out. And then you see he jumps with like Hagel, who's on the even strength with him, but not necessarily the power play. Sheets has it right, which is nice. And then not a lot of other Tampa guys, right? You get Radish in there, but they're probably hard to fit because they're real expensive. So, if you want to go like Tampa power play, which isn't going to get the same kind of looks it would normally, I think people go to the even strength for those reasons I mentioned. You could do it pretty easily. And then if you want to throw in a cheapo to just totally onslaught them, you could do it. Let's see if anyone's like point per dollar really nice on Tampa. Yeah, Moser, who always comes up as a nice play. So if you throw in Moser there, then you could do a whole lot, right? I mean, then we could take a look at who our value score top goalie is. So you could get in like a Gustafsson if you want. He's not cheap, but he's not too expensive. And then you need to save a little, but let's see. Let's see if like point per dollar we could correlate him with a Minnesota guy. If any of those stand out. Minnesota's, the skaters aren't looking great point per dollar. Linus Karlsson, so this is another one to look out for. I'm not sure if he's line one. Let's see. Yeah, Conf went in there. So it's going to be Conf line one, which I imagine he turns into the value guy instead of Karlsson then. So how much is David Conf? Min priced. So then you go 6,600. And you could do a lot, right? I mean, you could do double D if you want to do it. You could get in like a Raymond's going to project really well with Detroit's looking in a good spot. So there's a lot you can do with the power play that's going to be lower owned. I mean, it may be a little bit lower probability and projected though, because Bjorkstrand, he's going to have to do it on the power play for you, right? He's not like Radish where he's getting 20 plus minutes night in and night out, regardless of if he's running point on the power play. So, something to think about, but this looks like a pretty good, solid way to go about things. If you want to get different with a team that's going to be owned, like without a doubt, going to be owned. So consider it. Consider that. Now let's look at projections and see by value score if anyone else bunches up. It's really kind of not doing that. You get some Vancouver here, Hughes and Garland and Besser. So you could go like Vancouver power play or Vancouver 1 with Kampf. And then it was Garland, right? Who did we say? Garland and Besser, right? Yeah, Garland and Besser. So let's go Besser, Connor Garland. Whoop. And you got to get Quentin Hughes. 6,700. I mean, I know they're not doing well. That is cheap for such a dynamic player. And then, do you want to put Kampf in? Do you want to do the power play? Do you want to do both and onslaught them? So let's say you get DeBrusk and Sherwood in there. Now, I want to point one other thing with Vancouver if you're getting to these stacks. So bear with me in a moment. But let's say we played their power play with Kampf and just run. Why isn't he showing up? Did I already put him? How did he come up before and he's not coming up? All right, that is strange. So let's not do that. Okay, so I'm just going to get to the important thing. I want to point out if you're playing Vancouver, be kind of careful. Ratty got time on power play 1 in practice. Ratty is probably min price. We'll see. Ratty, he scored a couple of goals lately. He may come up. Yeah, so he's 2,800. He replaced Sherwood. So Sherwood could turn into Ratty, and that could be a bit of a problem if you've got Vancouver. But I just don't think there's any way we know this. So I don't think it's really actionable news, but it's something that we have to consider. That there's a chance Ratty gets the bumper on power play 1, and that could be kind of an issue for your correlations. But just keep it in mind when you run things. So if you have later stuff, do know that can happen. If any other news comes out, you should be watching, kind of checking for news or check Discord. I didn't put the plug in, but I should. Like and subscribe. It helps us out. And check out our site, TrueDFS.com, where you can get access to the premium Discord and all the tools we use, like not just the projections, but SaberSim as well. And the price is it's like $20 more for everything on the site. So you also get the Pater tool for DFS embedding. So it's $20 more than you pay for SaberSim alone. And so it's like getting 3 sites in one. It's a really good deal. So I highly recommend checking out TrueDFS.com. Come join us. There's a lot you could do. You get these kind of actionable news things that I think a lot of people aren't getting and picking up on in the industry. So it's well worth the price. And let's do that. Let's jump over to SaberSim. And I'm going to run we got Sheets' early today. So let's use Sheets' stuff. I'll switch to his ownership, even though it's not going to build using them. And then we'll build lineups. Now I'm going to take out all these nonsense stacks. And I've explained why a million times. I only build the highly correlated ones. when we look at like post-contest sims day in and day out, nothing shows up that's lower than a 4.3. I mean, not nothing. They come up sometimes, but not often. And in the low lineups, it's all that kind of stuff. In the negative ROI lineups, as you say, well, why don't you just build them? Because there's some good ones, and maybe you'll get some good ones, and you'll want to play them. Well, that's true, right? So if I get 500 or 1,000 poorly correlated lineups out of my 5,000, and 200 of them are good, well, okay, I got 200 that graded well. But if I build 5,000 of only highly correlated lineups and I get 600 that grade as plus EV that could be candidate lineups for my pool, or for my actual set, then I spent my 5,000 better. I try to explain this to people. You only get 5,000 lineups. That is nothing, right? So you want to make them count. And so I'm just going to get way more candidate lineups that I would play by demanding the high correlation stuff. And yeah, I won't get to the good 3-3-2s. I'll miss out on those, but I think that's okay. I'm willing to do that. So let's go ahead and run. I think people ask, like, what would you do for single entry? Because people that watch these shows tend to play one lineup. I think that the 170-man field I'm in, the 3-3-3, is like a decent proxy for single entry. It's certainly better than like what our flagship top ROI lineups would be. So my top ROI lineup is a Minnesota stack. I hope I said that right, Minnesota, with Andrew Kopp and Sharon Govich. So, if it were right now, I might just plug it in and there I'd have Minnesota, and that'd be what I do. But sometimes what I like to do is say, like, well, what are the top 20 ROI lineups, right? Are they all Minnesota? Is it saying you just have to play Minnesota? Or are a bunch of lineups showing up in the top ROI? And I got to tell you, if it's saying just Minnesota, just Minnesota, just Minnesota, you may be concerned that the field's going to get on Minnesota a little bit more than what SaberSim thinks. So I think that's not the case. Let's see what our top 20 exposures look like. A lot of Minnesota, but you get some Utah. And then a little bit of Seattle and Calgary. So, it may be that we want to get off Minnesota just because we see how popular they are, or how highly recommended they are by SaberSim. Now, I don't think we need to do that because we're using a different projection set. We're getting a different kind of pool, and that may be helping us differentiate, to the point where we don't need to do that. But if I was just using SaberSim projections and it was just coming up all Minnesota, 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 I'd be worried that the field plays Minnesota more than SaberSim projects it to be played. So that's something we have to think about. So if it were right now, I'd probably be inclined to play this. I would probably play my top ROI lineup. Sometimes it's good to like kind of see what your lineup is and then rerun the sims is a kind of tactic you could play, and see if that comes up as the top one or right near the top again, because there's variance in the sims. So you want to do stuff like that to get an idea for how robust that sim ROI on that lineup is. Here, it seems like that is the case. Like this is just like really strong lineup right now. So I would probably go with it. So that's an idea of what I would do. Don't forget, like and subscribe. It helps us out. Check out TrueDFS.com. If you like what you see, you could get access to all of this for, like I said, $20 more than it costs alone. You also get the Pater model for DFS embedding. It's really highly successful. So there's like a lot of stuff you could do we've been tracking results, and it's plus EV and plus ROI in reality. So really good stuff. So check that out. And I wish you all good luck on today's slate. Let's go.